Here's a question that most contractors never think to ask. Not how do I get more leads, not how do I get cheaper leads, but how much should I actually be willing to spend to get a customer in the first place? Because until you can answer that, you're not making marketing decisions, you're making guesses. And guesses are why most contractors either underspend and starve their pipeline or overspend and wonder where all that money went. I'm Spencer Wright, and I've helped generate north of $100 million in closed jobs for home service contractors. And in my experience, most contractors have really never actually sat down and done this math. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through it because once you know your number, every marketing decision you make gets a whole lot clearer. Most contractors, when you ask them how much they're willing to spend to get a customer, don't know how to answer that. And it's not because they're bad at business, it's because nobody has ever framed it in that way before. They think about marketing like this: how much does a lead cost? How much does this agency charge? How much do I have to spend? But that's not really the right conversation. The real question is, what is a customer actually worth to me, and how much of that am I willing to spend to get one? Those are two completely different mindsets. One makes marketing feel like an expense, the other turns it into an investment with a measurable return. And until you flip that switch, marketing will always feel like an expense because you don't have a baseline. You don't have a number. You just are spending and hoping, and hope is not a strategy. I was on a call recently with a contractor who's been in business for over a decade, doing solid revenue. I asked him a simple question: how much are you willing to spend to get a customer? And he just went quiet. Not because he didn't want to answer, he just literally had never thought about it like that before. And that's way more common than you think. Now let's break this down because this is actually simpler than most people expect. Step one, start with your average job value. Not your biggest job, not your best month, your average. Take your total revenue from last year and divide it by the number of jobs you did. That's a good starting point. Step number two, apply your profit margin. After materials, labors, subs, overhead, what did you actually keep? For most contractors, that's somewhere between 20 to 40%. So let's say your average job is worth $10,000. Your margin is 25%, so your profit would be about $2,500 per job. And that $2,500 is what you're actually working with. Now, here's the key question. How much would you be willing to spend to make that $2,500 in profit? $500, $1,000, $1,500? There's a line where it stops feeling like a good deal. And that line is your number, your maximum customer acquisition cost. And once you know it, everything changes because now you're not asking, how do I spend less? You're asking, how do I stay profitable while spending up to this number consistently? That's a completely different game. And this is where most contractors miss the opportunity. They're trying to win by being cheaper, cheaper leads, cheaper ads, cheaper agencies. But that's not how this game works. The market rewards the contractors who can afford to spend the most to acquire a customer. That's it. So if your competitors can spend $1,000 to get a job and you can only afford $500, they win every single time. But here's the shift. I had a contractor tell me recently he felt like he couldn't compete with bigger companies because they were outspending him. And I told him this: they're not beating you because they have more money. They're beating you because they know what a customer is worth and they've built a business that can afford to spend more to get one. And once that clicked, his whole mindset shifted. He stopped asking, how do I spend less? And started asking, how do I build a business that can afford to spend more? And that's the game. Margins, pricing, and close rate. That's what actually determines how aggressive you can be in your marketing. And there are really only two ways this goes wrong, and I see both constantly. Number one is underspending. This is the contractor who's been burned before, so they play it safe. They spend $40 or $50 a day, get a couple leads, don't see immediate results, and they shut it off. But here's the reality. That's not a marketing budget. That's a test. You can't expect real results without enough volume. You're starving the system before it even had a chance to work. And then number two, overspending without a number. On the flip side, I talked to another contractor paying an agency $3,000 a month for 6 months. And I asked him, how many jobs did that generate? He couldn't tell me. Not one. No tracking, no baseline, no clarity, just money going out and hoping something came back. Both of these contractors had the exact same issue. They did not know their number. And when you don't know your number, you can't answer basic questions like, is this working? Should I spend more? Should I cut this? Let's make this super real for a second. Say your cost per lead is $25. You spend $50, you get 2 leads. Out of those 2 leads, one becomes an appointment. So now your cost per appointment is $50. Now let's say your close rate is 30%. That means it takes about 3 appointments to close 1 deal. So your cost per closed deal is $150 from the ad spend plus the agency fee or whatever other overhead you had. So when you start seeing it that way, it becomes obvious on what you should do. Spend more or cut it. But most guys never look at it like that. They obsess over cost per lead instead of focusing on the number that actually matters: cost to acquire a customer. That's the metric that drives everything. If you're tired of guessing and want a proven system to scale your business, hit the link below and apply to work with me. We'll break down your actual real numbers, build you a solid, clear roadmap, and get you growing with real clarity within the next 7 days or less. So you see, the last thing you need to understand is this: your number isn't fixed. It moves as your business improves. When you raise your prices, your number goes up. When you improve your close rate, your number goes up. When your follow-up gets better, your number goes up. And when you start getting repeat business and referrals, now the lifetime value of that customer increases, which means your number should reflect that too. And this is where things really start to compound, because the contractors who scale the fastest are the ones who are constantly working to increase what they can afford to spend to get a customer, not to decrease that. Think about how this plays out. The higher your number goes, the more aggressive you can market. The more aggressively you can market, the more jobs you land. The more jobs you land, the more you can optimize your operations and improve your margins. And the better your margins get, the higher your number goes up again. That is the loop. And once you understand it and actually start operating this way, growth stops feeling random and starts becoming predictable. So here's what I want you to do. Don't just calculate this once and forget about it. Revisit it every quarter. Look at it. Has your average job value increased? Has your close rate improved? Have your prices changed? Are you getting more repeat business or referrals? Because every one of those moves your number. And when your number moves, your strategy should move with it. That's how you go from guessing to actually scaling with intention. Again, most contractors think they have a lead problem. In reality, they have a clarity problem. They don't know their numbers. Because when you know your numbers, you know exactly what you can afford to spend. You know exactly when something is working. And you know exactly how to scale without second guessing every single decision. That is the difference between reactive marketing and controlled growth. So that's it. You now know how to find your number, why it changes how you compete, and how to use it to make every marketing decision from here on out with clarity instead of just guessing. If you got value out of this, hit subscribe. I put out new videos like this every single week, breaking down exactly what's working in contractor marketing right now. No fluff, just real frameworks you can actually use in your business. And for your next watch, go check out this video, because once you know your number, the next thing you need to understand is exactly where your leads are going after they come in, and why most contractors are losing jobs they don't even know they're losing. That video picks up right where this one left off, and it's worth your time. And if you're at the point where you're done figuring this out on your own and you want someone to come in, build the system, and scale your business with you, click the link below and apply to work with me. We'll look at your numbers together, map out exactly what it would take to get your business growing predictably week over week, and figure out if working together makes sense. And I back everything I do with a guarantee. So there's literally zero risk on your end. The link is in the description. Go apply and let's get to work. Cheers.